Hey everybody, it's Moksha here again with another nerdy art video for you. In this video I'm going to be talking about working on a colored background like what you see here. This is a ochre colored gesso from Daniel Smith. I made a video previous to this where I was starting a painting on this background, and I failed to talk really about why would you want to work on a colored background like this. And so in this video we'll be addressing that. Okay, so first off, why would anybody want to work on colored gesso? I could just start with a whiteboard and I could quickly kill the white off with some acrylic paint, take a big brush and a bunch of tube paint, the heavy body stuff, or fluid. For example, this is ochre in Golden's fluid acrylic medium, and why wouldn't I just start with a whiteboard and use that to cover it? Well, there's a few things. For one thing, if I do that, I'm going to end up with a surface that it's not going to be as even as this gesso. This is several coats of gesso. I sanded in between. I made sure that it was even and smooth. And so I've got a really solid, even colored ground to start with. And there's no interfering textures or, visible brush strokes. And it's very rich and saturated in color because the ochre gesso is full pigment strength, where if I just do a bunch of coats of acrylic on top of a white background, it's just not going to have the same intensity. It's not going to be as smooth and even, and it's just not going to get the same results. That's not to say that I couldn't work that way. I could just start with a white canvas and color it with ochre, colored acrylic paint. But the result is different, and so in the end, it could be a subtle difference. Possibly, it depends on the painting you're making. It's a matter really of personal preference. Technically, if you want to start with a colored gesso or not. There's another reason why a person might want to start on a colored background. The reason artistically maybe why you would want to use a colored background is that when you have an even color across the entire board and you start painting on top of it, you get a degree of sort of everything is sort of homogenized, everything is normalized in a way that way. I did a painting here that I'll show you called The Mushroom Hunter. It's a self-portrait. And this is starting with this same gesso that you see here, this same ochre gesso. And I knew I wanted an autumn scene because the chanterelles come out and they're best in October around that time. And so I wanted that autumn leaf color. And I could, again, I could have started with a white surface and I could have painted all that ochre color into the painting, but that's a lot of extra work and it creates extra steps. It's not as smooth and even as starting with a entire background that is coated already with that yellow color. Now my middle values are established. This is sort of the middle value, this yellow, and I'm painting my highlights and my shadows and I'm adding color on top of it. And so let's take a closer look at this painting, The Mushroom Hunter, and we'll zoom into, for example, the pants. As you can see here, it's very loose actually, and in the photo reference, I was wearing these strangely colored pants. They're really pretty close to how they look in this painting, and I just painted in some shadows and some highlights on top of the ochre. A lot of what you see is literally the gesso showing through. I think I glazed a very light coat of green over the pants to just to push them out of the yellow and a little more into the green area. But I mean, if it just took so much work out of the process, starting with that yellow. And again, we can zoom into the leaves here up on the right side. And you can see I've done a lot more texturing and work to establish the shape of the leaves. But most of what you see, the yellow colors, are the gesso itself, and it's throughout the background and everywhere, in places that are much more subtle than in the pants and in the leaves. But that yellow is popping through, and throughout the whole entire painting, and it's just creating this really nice, even feel. It creates a mood that's very easy to establish when you're working on a colored gesso like this. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about this. I don't know if I said this already, but this gesso is no longer made. It was produced by Daniel Smith, an art supply company from Seattle. One of my favorites. I think they literally called it the world's best gesso. Sadly, they discontinued the entire line. It's very heartbreaking. So I still have a little bit left, and I pull it out for rare occasions. Like I said, this is a personal preference. I can still take a whiteboard and I can tone it ochre and get kind of the same effect. It's not as nice as working on the world's best gesso. Certainly not as prestigious as that. But I hope this video has shed some light on why you would want to work on a colored background like this. Sadly, I neglected to even talk about the why in the first video I made of the elephant painting. And there will be another video coming in that series on that elephant painting. But I just wanted to insert this like sort of supplemental information for you so you'd have a little bit more of a better understanding about why you would want to do this. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.